How's it going, folks? We're going to discuss training in holsters today. And this came up out of a little bit of an internet dispute. And I am, by the way, going to provide link uh, for the person who this dispute came up with so they themselves can see. And I'm hoping you're listening because you really have not thought your concealed carry through as much as you should have. And I mean this seriously, and I'm not meaning this to put you down. I'm hoping to give you the information you need in order to help improve on what you're doing because there's a lot lacking. Let's start off with the chamberless carry. I understand a lot of people call it the Israeli carry because I think the Israelis were one of the armies that were doing this. Is basically you have a loaded magazine in the pistol, but not around in the chamber. This is stupid. This tells me three things. The service does not wish to train their members well enough to where they can carry effectively a round in the chamber without worrying about a negligent discharge. They view their soldiers as cannon fodder, obviously, because they can lose one or two while everyone else is getting around into their firearm. And three, they're more concerned about the bad publicity of a negligent discharge than they are of actually making sure their soldiers are ready to fight at a moment's notice or draw their pistol and employ it precisely when they need it. I know some militaries do this practice, and I'm against this practice. You should be training your soldiers well enough to where they can be competent in carrying a firearm with a round in the chamber because there might be situations where you can't get that round into the chamber. There might be situations to where that time it takes to get that round in the chamber may be the difference between life and death. Both of these are true. And of course, the guy on the internet, and anybody else, by the way, when you sit there and tell me carrying without a round in the with a round in the chamber is a pointless risk, what you're basically telling me is you don't know enough about firearms to competently carry them, but you've also gone and revealed enough information about you to where I can see where your experience, where your proficiency level is, and how much thought you've put into it. And I got to say, it's not all that much. You don't use a holster when you're carrying. That's really bad. And you're carrying a $300 pistol, which means, and these are your words, not mine, but this tells me right here that you didn't put much thought into it. That's all I needed to hear right there. That's all I needed to see right there. And now I know that you really don't know as much as you need to know. And anybody who knows me knows I'm against training mandates or dictating to people how, when, and if they're going to carry their firearm. That doesn't mean I don't think that there are really bad choices that should be avoided. Let's start with the pistol and the holster. Okay. If you choose to keep your $300 pistol and carry that because you do not want to spend the money on another pistol, just know that there's a reason why your pistol is $300 and there are other pistols that are five, six, seven, eight, nine, $1,000 even. There is a difference in the reliability, performance, and things of that nature, and you really should be looking for the best option, not just the cheapest option. I can understand if you don't have a whole bunch of money, okay, maybe the $300 option is good, but you still need a holster. What should you be looking for in a holster? That you can carry it where you're comfortable at carrying it safely. You've got a trigger well. that is completely blocked off by the holster. Anything that gets in that trigger well can depress that trigger. And if you have a round in the chamber, which you honestly should if you're carrying, um, you will negligently discharge that firearm, or you could negligently discharge that firearm. The next thing you want with the holster is that it needs to fit the particular pistol you're carrying. You don't need something cheap. This is something you do not need to skimp out on money, is the holster. You've seen the video with the FBI agent dancing on the floor, then his pistol comes out of his cheap holster. He goes to pick it up too quick and shoots somebody. Well, he picks it up in a rush and ends up shooting somebody in the crowd. That all could have been avoided had he had a decent holster with a decent retention on it. Now, I'm not saying that you have to go and get something that's, again, super high speed, just something that works, just something that's not like some generic holster where your pistol's going to fall out, your trigger well's not already covered, and so on. Okay, so with this being said, you'll notice with this one, this has got a button to retain it with. And you notice when you press a button, your finger should go to where you're properly indexed. This should be a habit you should be getting yourself into, is placing your finger away from the trigger well where you can get to the trigger well if you need to, but it's resting in a place outside the trigger well. Now, I also understand that there was a holster, I think, somewhat similar to this, where a guy by the name of Tex discharged a round into his thigh when he was doing the quick draw. Again, I'm not going to knock on him too hard, but I think he realizes that he needed to train better before he even did that. And especially if you haven't had a whole bunch of training on something, you don't need to be rushing your training. So, what's one of the first things you need to do with training with a holster and a pistol that you're concealed carrying? Aside from taking it to the range and getting familiar with it and getting familiar with how to shoot it, you also probably need to practice drawing your holster. So, what you'll want to do in this circumstance is you want to verify your pistol is 100% without ammo. There's no ammo in the room. You're then going to take your pistol and your holster, obviously, get it into your carry position to where you're normally going to be carrying it. And you're going to want to go through the steps, take your time, and just practice drawing it and raising it to the target. So, 1, grab the pistol. 2, press the release. 3, draw the pistol. 4, without flagging yourself or anything you don't intend to shoot, bring your pistol to the target uh, with an aim. And you don't have to be super fast in doing this. In fact, you want to take your time. Get yourself into the habit, and as you develop the technique, let your speed come to you then, but do not rush it, because that's how you get out of order in the steps. That's how you develop training scars, and that's how you end up having these indies that could have easily been avoided. Now, again, with that's why I recommend having a good holster. I'm also against purse carry, by the way. I know you see the old TV shows, Hollywood movies, and even, people in real life sometimes, women will stick their gun in their purse and do that. That's a really bad idea. First off, usually there's other things in that purse that can get into that trigger well and cause a negligent discharge. But the big thing is, what is the very first thing a mugger is going to go for on a woman? It's going to be the purse. This is why, say women should be carrying just the same way men should be, in a holster, in a place to where it's the best for them to get to it, and they should practice just the same as men. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm hoping, especially for the guy I'm talking to, look, think about what I've said. And that goes for everybody else. Yeah, to me, this is common sense. But maybe somebody else, you might have heard something that you didn't think of before. And, I'm hoping that this gets through to you too. And if anybody's got a problem with anything I said, you got the comments below. Y'all take her easy and have a great day.